The morning started like any other on Research Station Omega-7. Dr. Sarah Chen sipped her coffee while reviewing atmospheric data from the planet below. The station orbited Kepler 442b, a world that showed promising signs of life. For 3 years, the small team of 12 scientists had been studying this distant planet, hoping to find something that would change humanity's understanding of life in the universe. Sarah loved the quiet routine. Wake up, check the sensors, analyze data, eat meals with her colleagues, and sleep. It was peaceful work, far from the chaos of Earth. The station was small but comfortable, with living quarters, laboratories, and observation decks that offered stunning views of the blue-green planet below. "Morning, Sarah," called Dr. Marcus Williams as he floated into the main lab. The artificial gravity was lighter here than on Earth, making movement feel effortless. Marcus was the team's xenobiologist, always excited about the possibility of finding alien life forms. "Any interesting readings overnight?" Sarah asked, pulling up the sensor logs on her tablet. Marcus shook his head. "Same as always. Lots of water vapor, oxygen in the atmosphere, but no clear signs of intelligent life. Though I did notice some unusual electromagnetic signatures in the northern continent." Sarah frowned. "Unusual how?" "Patterns that don't match natural phenomena. Could be geological, but the frequencies are too regular. Almost like..." Marcus paused, choosing his words carefully. "Almost like artificial signals." Before Sarah could respond, the station's communication officer, Lieutenant Jake Morrison, burst into the lab. His face was pale, and his hands shook as he held a data pad. "We've got a problem," Jake said, his voice tight with tension. "I've been monitoring deep space communications, and I'm picking up something that shouldn't be there." Sarah and Marcus exchanged glances. Jake was former military, trained to stay calm under pressure. If something had rattled him this badly, it was serious. "What kind of something?" Sarah asked. Jake pulled up a holographic display showing wave patterns and signal analysis. "Unknown radio transmissions coming from the edge of our solar system. The patterns are complex, definitely artificial, and they're moving toward us at incredible speed." Marcus leaned forward to study the data. "How fast?" "At their current velocity, whatever is sending these signals will reach our position in approximately 18 hours. The lab fell silent except for the gentle hum of the station's life support systems. Sarah felt her heart rate increase as the implications sank in. They were alone out here, light years from Earth, with no military protection and no way to defend themselves if these signals came from hostile sources. "Could it be another human ship?" Marcus asked hopefully. "Maybe a military vessel we weren't told about?" Jake shook his head. "I checked all known human ship signatures. This doesn't match anything in our database. The signal patterns are completely foreign." Sarah activated the station's emergency protocols, sending an automated distress signal toward Earth. It would take years for help to arrive, but they had to try. She also began preparing the research data for emergency transmission, just in case they didn't survive whatever was coming. Over the next few hours, the entire crew worked frantically to understand the approaching threat. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the team's physicist, analyzed the propulsion signatures and concluded that the alien ships were using technology far beyond human capabilities. Chief Engineer Tom Bradley began defensive preparations, though they all knew the station's systems were designed for research, not combat. As the alien ships drew closer, their sensors revealed the true scope of the threat. The approaching fleet consisted of 7 massive vessels, each one larger than the research station. The ships had sleek, organic curves that suggested advanced biotechnology, and they moved through space with a grace that defied conventional physics. "They're slowing down," Jake reported from the communication center. "Adjusting course to intercept our orbit." Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the team's computer specialist, managed to enhance their sensor readings. What she discovered made everyone's blood run cold. The alien ships were armed with weapons that generated massive energy signatures, far more powerful than anything humanity had ever developed. "We need to evacuate," urged Dr. Lisa Park, the team's medical officer. "Get to the escape pods and hope they don't follow us down to the planet." But Station Commander Robert Hayes, a veteran of Earth's space program, refused to abandon their post. "We're scientists," he said firmly. "This could be humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. We have a duty to observe and record everything we can." As the alien fleet took positions around the research station, the crew gathered in the main observation deck. Through the transparent aluminum windows, they could see the alien vessels clearly for the first time. The ships seemed to pulse with bioluminescent lights, their surfaces rippling like living tissue. Suddenly, the station's communication system crackled to life. A voice spoke in perfect English, though the accent was strange and the tone somehow artificial. "Human Research Facility, you have violated the territorial boundaries of the Zephyrian Empire. Your presence in this system is unauthorized and represents a threat to our colonial expansion plans." Commander Hayes stepped forward to the communication panel. "This is Research Station Omega 7. We are peaceful scientists studying the planet below. We had no knowledge of your territorial claims." The alien voice responded without emotion. "Ignorance of our laws is not an excuse. Your species has been marked for evaluation. Surrender your station and prepare for processing." "Processing?" Hayes asked, though he was afraid he already knew the answer. "Your biological and technological resources will be cataloged and absorbed into the Empire. Resistance will result in immediate termination." The crew exchanged terrified glances. They were facing something far worse than they had imagined. This wasn't first contact with a curious alien civilization. This was an encounter with a hostile empire that saw humans as nothing more than resources to be harvested. Dr. Chen activated the station's emergency beacon, broadcasting their situation on all frequencies toward Earth. Even if they didn't survive, humanity would know what they had faced out here. The alien ships began moving closer, their weapons systems charging with ominous energy buildup. The research station's shields were designed to protect against cosmic radiation and micrometeorites, not military-grade alien weapons. They would offer no meaningful protection. "Incoming transmission from Earth," Jake announced suddenly. "It's a military frequency." Hayes authorized the transmission, and a new voice filled the communication center. "Research Station Omega 7, this is Colonel Victoria Sterling of Earth Defense Special Operations. We received your distress signal. Maintain position and prepare for immediate assistance." The crew stared at each other in amazement. How could Earth have responded so quickly? Their distress signal had only been sent a few hours ago, and it should have taken years to reach home. "Colonel, how is this possible?" Hayes asked. "You couldn't have received our signal yet." Sterling's voice was calm and professional. "We've been monitoring your situation through classified surveillance networks. A response team was dispatched as soon as we detected the alien incursion. Estimated arrival at your position in 30 minutes. Before anyone could respond, the alien ships opened fire. Brilliant energy beams struck the research station's shields, causing the entire structure to shake violently. Emergency lights flashed as power fluctuated throughout the facility. "Shields down to 60%, reported Tom Bradley from the engineering station. "We can't take much more of this." The alien bombardment continued relentlessly. Each impact sent shockwaves through the station, and the crew struggled to maintain their footing as artificial gravity systems fluctuated. Sarah watched through the observation windows as pieces of the outer hull began to break away, venting atmosphere into space. "Hull breach in Section 7, Tom called out. Sealing emergency bulkheads." The situation was becoming desperate. The station's defensive systems were failing, and the crew was running out of options. Several members suggested abandoning ship, but Hayes insisted they hold their position and trust in the promised rescue. Then, something extraordinary happened. Space around the research station began to shimmer, and massive shapes materialized out of nowhere. 3 enormous human warships appeared, their hulls gleaming with advanced armor plating and bristling with weapons that made the alien ships look primitive by comparison. The lead ship was a behemoth called the UES Defiant, stretching over 2 kilometers in length. Its companion vessels, the UES Retribution and the UES Vengeance, flanked it in perfect formation. These were not ordinary military ships. They were something entirely new, equipped with technology that seemed impossible. "This is Colonel Sterling aboard the UES Defiant," the voice announced. "Alien vessels, you are ordered to withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The alien fleet hesitated, clearly surprised by the sudden appearance of the human warships. Their weapons systems remained charged, but they made no immediate aggressive moves. The Zephyrian commander responded with arrogance. Human warships, you are outgunned and outnumbered. Our technology is superior to your primitive weapons. Withdraw now or share the fate of your research station. Colonel Sterling's response was swift and decisive. You made a mistake coming here. Defiant, engage all targets. Show them what human ingenuity can accomplish. The UES Defiant opened fire with weapons unlike anything the research station crew had ever seen. Instead of conventional energy beams or projectiles, the ship launched what appeared to be controlled plasma storms. These weapons enveloped the alien ships in cascading energy fields that seemed to disrupt their technology at a fundamental level. The Zephyrian vessels tried to return fire, but their weapons had no effect on the human ship's defensive systems. Advanced shield technology absorbed their attacks completely, while the human weapons continued to devastate the alien fleet. Within minutes, 2 of the alien ships were completely disabled, their bioluminescent systems flickering and dying. The remaining vessels attempted to retreat, but the human warships were faster, using some kind of advanced propulsion that allowed them to match the aliens' seemingly impossible maneuvers. How are they doing this? Dr. Vasquez whispered, watching the battle through the observation deck windows. Those human ships are using technology that shouldn't exist. Commander Hayes was equally amazed. This changes everything we know about Earth's military capabilities. The battle continued for another 20 minutes, with the human ships systematically dismantling the alien fleet. The UES Retribution and UES Vengeance worked together to disable the larger Zephyrian vessels, while the Defiant pursued the ships attempting to escape. When the last alien vessel was neutralized, Colonel Sterling's voice returned to the communication channel. Research Station Omega-7, this is Colonel Sterling. Threat eliminated. We're sending a rescue shuttle to evacuate your team. As the shuttle docked with the research station, the crew prepared to leave their home of 3 years. Sarah packed her research data, knowing that everything had changed. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and, apparently, Earth had been preparing for this moment longer than anyone realized. The rescue shuttle was unlike any human spacecraft the research team had ever seen. Its interior was equipped with technology that seemed decades ahead of anything they knew existed. The pilot, a young woman in an unfamiliar military uniform, welcomed them aboard with professional courtesy. Welcome to the new age of human space operations, she said with a slight smile. Colonel Sterling is looking forward to meeting with you. You're about to learn that Earth has been very busy while you've been out here studying planets. As the shuttle departed the research station and approached the UES Defiant, Sarah looked back at their former home one last time. The station was heavily damaged but still intact, floating alone in the vast darkness of space. Soon, it would be replaced by something far more formidable. The crew of Research Station Omega-7 had no idea that they were about to discover the most closely guarded secret in human history. Earth had been preparing for this day for decades, and the Zephyrian attack had just triggered a response that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The shuttle bay of the UES Defiant was unlike anything the research team had ever imagined. The walls seemed to pulse with energy, and the deck plating felt different under their feet, smoother and, somehow more responsive. Advanced holographic displays showed tactical information in 3 dimensions, while crew members moved efficiently through their duties wearing uniforms that incorporated technology the scientists couldn't identify. Colonel Victoria Sterling met them personally at the airlock. She was a tall woman in her early 40s, with sharp green eyes and an air of absolute confidence. Her uniform bore insignia that none of the research team recognized, and she carried herself with the bearing of someone accustomed to making life and death decisions. Welcome aboard the Defiant, Sterling said, extending her hand to Commander Hayes. I'm sorry we couldn't arrive sooner, but your situation required authorization from the highest levels of command. Hayes shook her hand, still processing everything that had happened. Colonel, I have to ask, how did you get here so quickly? And, what are these ships? This technology shouldn't be possible. Sterling smiled grimly. Commander, you and your team have stumbled into something that's been classified above your security clearance for the past 30 years. Dr. Chen, Dr. Williams, all of you, what you witnessed today is the result of Earth's most successful black project. She led them through corridors that seemed to bend and flow around them, past crew members working at consoles that responded to thought as much as touch. The artificial gravity was perfect, more stable than anything they'd experienced on the research station or even on Earth. 30 years ago, Sterling continued, we detected the first signs of alien activity in our galaxy. Not the Zephyrians, something else, something far more dangerous. Earth's governments made a decision that the public wasn't ready to know about it. We began preparing for the day when humanity would face threats from beyond our solar system. They entered a briefing room with a massive holographic display that showed star charts covering hundreds of light years. Red markers indicated known alien territories, while blue markers showed human positions. The research team was amazed to see that humanity had a presence in dozens of star systems they'd never heard of. Project Prometheus, Sterling said, activating the display. The most comprehensive military development program in human history. We've been building fleets, developing new technologies, and establishing forward bases throughout local space. What you see here represents the hidden expansion of human civilization. Dr. Vasquez studied the technical readouts appearing on subsidiary displays. These energy signatures, they're impossible. You're manipulating fundamental forces in ways that violate known physics. Not violate, Sterling corrected. Transcend. We've had help. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Sarah was the first to speak. Help from whom? Sterling activated another section of the holographic display, showing a different class of starship. These vessels had elegant, crystalline structures that seemed to grow rather than be built. The Ascended, she said simply. An ancient race that transcended physical existence millions of years ago. They'd been watching younger species develop, and they decided humanity showed promise. Marcus leaned forward, his xenobiologist training taking over. They made contact? When? First contact occurred in 1995, Sterling replied. A small research vessel investigating anomalous signals near Pluto encountered an Ascended probe. Instead of the aggressive behavior we now know to expect from species like the Zephyrians, the Ascended were curious about humanity's rapid technological development and our capacity for both cooperation and conflict. The display showed footage of early meetings between humans and beings of pure energy, communicating through methods that bypassed language entirely. Sarah watched in fascination as human scientists worked alongside entities that appeared as shifting patterns of light. They offered us a choice, Sterling continued. We could continue developing at our natural pace and likely face extinction when hostile aliens eventually found us, or we could accept accelerated advancement in exchange for becoming guardians of younger civilizations. Guardians? Hayes asked. The galaxy is full of predatory species, Commander. The Zephyrians are just one of many empires that expand by consuming other civilizations. The Ascended have been fighting this pattern for eons, but they've moved beyond physical interaction. They needed younger species to serve as active protectors. Tom Bradley, the engineer, was studying technical specifications that appeared on his personal display. These power sources, they're drawing energy from dimensional interfaces. You're accessing power from parallel realities. Sterling nodded approvingly. Exactly. Ascended technology allows us to tap into the quantum substrate of spacetime itself. Our ships can manipulate gravity, phase between dimensions, and access practically unlimited energy. What you saw during the battle was just a fraction of our capabilities. Dr. Park raised her hand hesitantly. If this technology has existed for 30 years, why haven't we shared it with civilian populations? Think of the benefits: unlimited clean energy, faster than light travel, medical advances. Because humanity wasn't ready, Sterling said firmly. The Ascended were very clear about this. Giving advanced technology to a species that hasn't matured socially and philosophically leads to self-destruction. Look at our history, every major technological advance has been weaponized before it was used for peaceful purposes. Jake Morrison, still processing everything he'd heard, asked the obvious question, so what happens now? The Zephyrians know about us. They'll be back with more ships. Sterling's expression grew serious. Actually, they won't. What happened here today was more than just a rescue operation. It was a message to every hostile species within 50 light-years of Earth. Humanity is no longer hiding. She activated a new display showing real-time sensor data from across the local galactic region. Dozens of alien fleets were visible, but all of them were moving away from human space. The destruction of that Zephyrian fleet was observed by monitoring stations throughout this sector. Word spreads quickly among predatory species when they encounter prey that fights back effectively. Most will avoid human territory for decades, maybe centuries. Sarah felt overwhelmed by the scope of what she was learning. But surely some species will see us as a threat and try to eliminate us? Some will try, Sterling agreed. That's why Project Prometheus has been expanding so rapidly. We now have over 200 ships like the Defiant, plus thousands of smaller vessels. We've established defensive positions around every inhabited world within 20 light-years of Earth, and we're still building. Dr. Tanaka, who had been quietly studying the data displays, finally spoke up. The electromagnetic signatures Marcus detected on Kepler 442b, were those from your operations? Sterling smiled. Very good. Yes, we've had a monitoring station on that planet for 18 months. Your research station was never as isolated as you thought. We've been watching over you, just as we watch over all human civilians operating in deep space. The briefing continued for several more hours as Sterling revealed the full scope of humanity's secret expansion. The research team learned about advanced manufacturing facilities hidden in asteroid fields, diplomatic relationships with friendly alien species, and exploration missions pushing the boundaries of known space. But, perhaps the most shocking revelation came when Sterling showed them footage from Earth itself. Major cities around the world had underground facilities where human and ascended scientists worked together on projects that would reshape civilization. Medical technology that could extend human lifespans indefinitely, terraforming equipment that could make any planet habitable, and manufacturing systems that could construct entire starships in a matter of days. The civilian population will learn about all of this eventually, Sterling said. But, it has to happen gradually, carefully managed to prevent social collapse. The Ascended estimate it will take another 50 years before humanity is ready for full technological integration. Commander Hayes had been quiet for most of the briefing, but now he stood up with obvious agitation. Colonel, with all due respect, don't you think people have a right to know? We're talking about technology that could eliminate poverty, cure diseases, and open the galaxy to human exploration. Sterling's expression softened. Commander, I understand your frustration. But, consider this, we're essentially managing the transition of humanity from a Type 0 civilization to a Type 3 civilization in less than a century. Too much change too quickly could destroy everything we're trying to protect. She showed them historical projections that modeled what would happen if advanced technology was introduced too rapidly. Social structures collapsed, governments fell, and conflicts erupted as different groups fought for control of the new capabilities. In most scenarios, humanity ended up destroying itself before it could mature enough to use the technology responsibly. The Ascended have seen this pattern repeated across thousands of species, Sterling continued. The ones that survive are those that develop wisdom alongside power. We're following a carefully planned integration timeline that maximizes our chances of success. Dr. Chen found herself thinking about her own research on atmospheric composition. The work we were doing on Kepler 442b, was it real science, or just busy work to keep us occupied? Completely real, Sterling assured her. In fact, your research has been invaluable to our terraforming projects. The atmospheric data you collected is being used to plan the colonization of 17 different worlds. Your contribution to human expansion has been far greater than you realized. As the briefing wound down, Sterling made an offer that surprised everyone. You each have a choice to make. You can return to Earth with your memories adjusted to believe you were rescued from a natural disaster, and continue your previous lives. Or you can join Project Prometheus and help shape humanity's future among the stars. The research team exchanged glances, weighing the magnitude of the decision. Joining would mean leaving behind everything they'd known, but it also meant being part of the greatest adventure in human history. Marcus was the first to speak. If I join, could I study alien life forms? Real alien biology from species across the galaxy? Sterling nodded. We have samples and data from over 300 species, including several that are still living. Your expertise would be invaluable to our xenobiology division. One by one, each team member expressed interest in learning more. The opportunity to work with technology decades ahead of anything they'd imagined was impossible to resist. Even the risks seemed manageable compared to the potential benefits to all humanity. Sterling activated her communicator. Bridge, set course for Prometheus Base. We're taking our guests on a full tour. As the UES Defiant changed course, Sterling led them to the observation deck. Through the massive transparent aluminum windows, they could see space distorting around the ship as it entered faster than light travel. Stars became streams of light, and the familiar constellations disappeared. Where exactly are we going? Sarah asked. Kepler 186f, Sterling replied. The first world humanity terraformed using ascended technology. It's also the location of our primary training facility for new Project Prometheus personnel. The journey that should have taken years passed in just a few hours. When they dropped out of FTL, the view outside was breathtaking. Kepler 186f hung before them like a second Earth, with blue oceans, green continents, and swirling white clouds. In orbit around the planet were massive space stations and dozens of ships similar to the Defiant. Welcome to humanity's second home, Sterling said proudly. Population 2 million and growing every day. The shuttle ride down to Prometheus Base gave the research team their first close look at a fully terraformed world. The planet's surface was a masterpiece of environmental engineering, with gleaming cities that seemed to grow organically from the landscape. Massive atmospheric processors worked silently in the distance, their crystalline structures reaching high into the sky while maintaining perfect ecological balance. The entire transformation took only 3 years, Sterling explained as they descended through the atmosphere. Traditional terraforming would have required centuries. Ascended technology allowed us to accelerate geological and atmospheric processes without damaging the existing ecosystem. Sarah pressed her face to the window, watching herds of Earth animals grazing alongside creatures that were clearly alien in origin. Are those native life forms? Some of them, Sterling confirmed. The Ascended taught us to work with existing biospheres rather than replacing them. Every species on this planet contributes to the overall ecological stability. It's a living laboratory where we study the interaction between Earth life and alien environments. The shuttle touched down at a spaceport that buzzed with activity. Humans in advanced environmental suits worked alongside beings that defied easy description. Some appeared to be made of living crystal, others seemed to shift between solid and energy states. The research team stared in fascination as they witnessed routine cooperation between multiple alien species. The crystalline beings are architects, Sterling explained, noticing their attention. They're master engineers who helped design our construction systems. The energy beings are mediators, they facilitate communication between species that think in completely different ways. A transport vehicle waited to take them to the main facility. As they traveled through the city, Dr. Vasquez noted advanced physics principles in action everywhere they looked. Buildings that seemed to ignore gravity floated serenely above parks, while transportation systems moved people through what appeared to be controlled spatial distortions. The energy requirements for this must be enormous, she commented. Actually, the city is energy positive, Sterling replied. Every structure contains quantum tap generators that draw power from dimensional interfaces. We produce more energy than we can use and export the surplus to other human colonies. The main facility was a complex of interconnected domes that stretched for kilometers across a broad valley. Each dome served a different purpose: research, training, manufacturing, or living quarters. The architecture was unlike anything from Earth, incorporating flowing organic curves with geometric precision that suggested both human engineering and alien influence. Sterling led them to the central dome, where they were greeted by Admiral James Harrison, the commanding officer of Project Prometheus. He was an older man with gray hair and intense blue eyes, wearing a uniform that incorporated technology similar to what they'd seen on the Defiant. "Welcome to the future of human civilization," Harrison said, shaking hands with each team member. "Colonel Sterling has briefed me on your situation. I understand you're considering joining our operation?" Commander Hayes stepped forward as the de facto leader of the research team. "Admiral, what we've seen so far is incredible, but we need to understand exactly what we'd be getting into. What would our roles be in this project?" Harrison gestured for them to follow him into a vast atrium filled with holographic displays showing operations across dozens of star systems. "Your roles would depend on your specialties and interests, but everyone here contributes to our core mission: protecting and expanding human civilization while maintaining galactic stability." He activated a display showing the local galactic region with different colors indicating various alien territories. "Right now, we monitor 47 hostile species, maintain diplomatic relations with 18 friendly civilizations, and protect human interests in over 200 star systems. It's the largest military and scientific operation in human history." Dr. Williams raised his hand. "You mentioned protecting other civilizations. Are we actively defending alien species from threats?" "Absolutely," Harrison replied. 3 months ago, we intervened when the Devourers attempted to consume the Harmony Collective, a peaceful species that communicates through music. Last week, we provided medical assistance to the Traders Guild when they encountered a bioweapon attack. The Admiral showed them footage of human ships working alongside various alien vessels, protecting refugee fleets and providing humanitarian aid across the galaxy. It was a vision of humanity as a force for good on a cosmic scale. But we're not just defenders, Harrison continued. We're also explorers and diplomats. Our science teams are pushing the boundaries of known physics, while our diplomatic corps works to build alliances with species across the galaxy. Sterling activated another display. Dr. Chen, your atmospheric analysis work would be crucial to our terraforming division. We're currently planning the transformation of 37 worlds, and each one requires detailed environmental modeling. Sarah felt a thrill of excitement at the scope of the project. 37 worlds? The first wave of major human expansion, Harrison confirmed. Within 50 years, we expect to have stable colonies on over 100 worlds. Each one will be designed to support both human settlers and whatever native life we find there. Tom Bradley, the engineer, studied technical specifications that appeared on nearby displays. This manufacturing technology, you're building starships using programmable matter? Among other things, Sterling said. Ascended technology allows us to manipulate matter at the quantum level. We can literally grow ships from base materials, incorporating whatever capabilities we need for specific missions. She led them to an observation window overlooking a massive construction bay. Inside, they could see the skeletal framework of a starship taking shape as streams of programmed particles assembled themselves into complex systems. The process looked more like biological growth than conventional manufacturing. The ship you're watching will be completed in 6 days, Sterling explained. Traditional construction would have taken years. This is why we've been able to build such a large fleet in such a short time. Dr. Park, the medical officer, was studying personnel files that showed humans working effectively for decades beyond normal lifespans. These age projections, some of your people are listed as over 150 years old. Harrison nodded. Life extension therapy using ascended medical technology. Not immortality, but lifespans of 3 to 4 centuries are common among Project Prometheus personnel. We need the time to develop the wisdom necessary to handle advanced technology responsibly. The implications were staggering. The research team was being offered not just new careers, but extended lifespans and the opportunity to witness the transformation of human civilization over centuries. Jake Morrison had been quiet throughout the tour, but now he asked the question that was troubling several team members. What about our families on Earth? If we join, do we ever see them again? Sterling's expression softened. That's one of the hardest aspects of joining the project. Direct contact with civilians is limited to protect operational security. However, we maintain extensive support networks for family members, and there are opportunities for carefully managed visits. She showed them records of Project Prometheus personnel who maintained relationships with civilian families, using cover stories about deep space research assignments. It's not ideal, but it's necessary until full disclosure becomes possible. Admiral Harrison led them to another section of the facility where they encountered something truly remarkable, a direct interface with the Ascended. In a chamber filled with swirling energy patterns, humans and aliens communicated with beings of pure consciousness through advanced neural interfaces. This is where policy decisions are made, Harrison explained. The Ascended provide guidance and advanced knowledge, but they never dictate our choices. They believe strongly that each species must chart its own path to maturity. Dr. Tanaka watched in fascination as a human technician interfaced with patterns of light that responded to thought. What's it like to communicate with them directly? Overwhelming at first, Harrison admitted. They think in concepts that don't translate well to human language. But, gradually, you learn to expand your mental frameworks to accommodate new ways of understanding reality. The tour continued for several more hours, revealing the full scope of Project Prometheus operations. They visited research laboratories where scientists studied alien artifacts that challenged fundamental assumptions about physics and biology. They saw training facilities where humans learned to operate technology that responded to mental commands. They met diplomats who had negotiated treaties with alien civilizations using translation systems that converted thoughts directly between incompatible forms of consciousness. Perhaps most impressive was the cultural integration wing, where human and alien art forms were combined to create entirely new aesthetic experiences. Music that incorporated mathematical harmonies from crystalline species, visual art that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, and literature that conveyed meaning through quantum entanglement patterns. "This is what we're really building," Sterling said as they watched a performance that combined human dance, alien harmonics, and energy manipulation. "Not just a military force, but a new form of civilization that incorporates the best aspects of multiple species." As the day progressed, each member of the research team found themselves drawn to different aspects of the project. Marcus was fascinated by the xenobiology division, where scientists studied life forms that existed as pure energy or incorporated quantum mechanical processes into their biology. Sarah was excited by the terraforming projects that could create perfect worlds for human habitation while preserving alien ecosystems. Tom Bradley was amazed by engineering projects that manipulated spacetime itself, while Dr. Park was intrigued by medical advances that could eliminate disease and extend healthy lifespans almost indefinitely. Jake Morrison found himself drawn to the intelligence division, which monitored hostile alien activities across the galaxy. But Dr. Tanaka and Dr. Vasquez were particularly interested in the theoretical physics division, where scientists worked with ascended advisors to develop new understanding of fundamental forces. They were shown research that suggested the possibility of accessing parallel universes, manipulating the flow of time, and even creating pocket dimensions for specialized purposes. As evening approached on the alien world, Admiral Harrison gathered the research team for a final meeting. "You've seen what we're building here," he said. "Now you need to make a decision. Join us, and help shape the future of human civilization among the stars. Or return to Earth and continue your previous lives, knowing that everything you've learned today will seem like a dream." The weight of the decision was enormous. They were being offered the chance to be part of the greatest adventure in human history, but it meant leaving behind everything they'd known before. Each team member would have to decide whether the promise of contributing to humanity's cosmic destiny was worth the personal sacrifices required. Commander Hayes spoke for the group. "Admiral, we need time to discuss this among ourselves. This isn't a decision we can make lightly." Harrison nodded understandingly. "Of course. Take all the time you need. Colonel Sterling will provide you with quarters here at the base. When you're ready, let us know your decisions." As they were escorted to comfortable accommodations that overlooked the alien landscape, the research team began the most important conversation of their lives. Each of them had to weigh personal desires against the magnitude of the opportunity they'd been offered. Outside their windows, the lights of the human city twinkled alongside bioluminescent patterns from alien settlements. Two moons hung in the sky, one natural and one artificial, both contributing to the complex gravitational dynamics that kept the planet's ecology in perfect balance. They were standing at a crossroads that would determine not just their own futures, but possibly the future of human civilization itself. 6 months after their rescue from Research Station Omega-7, the former research team had been transformed into something entirely new. They were no longer simple scientists studying distant planets, they had become active participants in humanity's greatest adventure. Each had found their place within Project Prometheus, and each was contributing to the expansion of human civilization among the stars. Dr. Saracen now led a terraforming team responsible for transforming 12 worlds in the Kepler 442 system. Using advanced ascended technology combined with her expertise in atmospheric science, she was creating perfect environments for human settlement while preserving existing alien ecosystems. Her team included architect engineers, mediator communication specialists, and human colonists who would eventually call these worlds home. Standing on the observation deck of the UES Terra Nova, Sarah watched as atmospheric processors worked their magic on the planet below. What had been a barren world just 3 months ago was now showing the first signs of a developing atmosphere. Clouds were forming over newly created oceans, and the first shipments of Earth plant life were taking root in carefully prepared soil. "The biological integration is proceeding ahead of schedule," reported her alien colleague, an architect named Crystal Song of Growing Things. The translation implant converted the being's light-based communication into human speech, but Sarah had learned to recognize the subtle harmonics that conveyed emotional undertones. "The human plant species are adapting well to the enhanced soil microorganisms," Sarah replied, studying data streams that flowed directly into her neural interface. "We should be ready for the first human colonists within 18 months. Through the ship's communication system, she could hear updates from teams working on other worlds throughout the system. Marcus Williams was overseeing the biological surveys that would determine how Earth life could integrate with alien ecosystems. Tom Bradley was designing the infrastructure that would support growing human populations. Each world would eventually house millions of people, all living in harmony with whatever native life they found there. Marcus had become the project's leading expert on xenobiology integration. His current assignment involved cataloging lifeforms on 37 different worlds and determining how they could coexist with human settlers. It was work that required not just scientific expertise, but diplomatic skills as he negotiated with intelligent species about sharing their worlds. On the planet Harmonia, he was working with a species of crystalline beings who communicated through musical vibrations. The translation challenges were immense, but Marcus had developed new protocols for establishing scientific cooperation between radically different forms of intelligence. The frequency modulations in their growth songs correspond to chemical processes we can enhance, Marcus explained to his team of human and alien researchers. If we adjust our terraforming procedures to harmonize with their biological rhythms, both species will benefit from the interaction. His work had led to breakthrough discoveries about the nature of life itself. Species that seemed completely incompatible on the surface often shared fundamental biological principles that allowed for unexpected forms of cooperation. Marcus was developing theoretical frameworks that would guide humanity's expansion for centuries to come. Tom Bradley had been promoted to Chief of Advanced Engineering for the entire Prometheus fleet. His innovations in spacetime manipulation had revolutionized starship design and made possible construction projects that spanned multiple star systems simultaneously. He was currently overseeing the construction of a massive space station that would serve as humanity's primary base in the Andromeda sector. The dimensional stabilizers are holding perfectly, Tom reported from his position aboard the construction control ship. We should have the primary structure completed within 6 weeks. The space station he was building existed partially in normal space and partially in a pocket dimension, allowing it to house millions of people while remaining virtually invisible to hostile alien species. It was a technological achievement that combined human engineering principles with ascended knowledge of fundamental physics. Tom's team included engineers from 12 different alien species, each contributing unique perspectives on matter manipulation and energy control. Working together, they were creating structures that seemed impossible but functioned flawlessly according to the deeper principles of reality that humanity was still learning to understand. Dr. Lisa Park had become the leading authority on interspecies medical integration. Her research station orbited a world where 7 different alien species lived together in carefully balanced biological harmony. Her job was to develop medical protocols that could treat injuries and diseases affecting any form of life they might encounter. The cellular regeneration techniques work equally well on carbon-based and silicon-based life forms, she reported during a galactic medical conference that included participants from over 100 species. We're developing universal healing protocols that can adapt to any biological system. Her medical advances were saving lives across the galaxy. When the Traders Guild encountered a plague that threatened to destroy their entire civilization, Dr. Park's team developed a cure that worked by enhancing the species' natural immune responses rather than fighting the disease directly. When a mining accident on a heavy-gravity world injured both human and alien workers, her emergency protocols saved everyone involved. Jake Morrison had risen to become one of Project Prometheus's top intelligence analysts. His specialty was predicting hostile alien behavior and coordinating defensive responses across multiple star systems. From his position aboard the intelligence command ship UES Watchful Eye, he monitored threats throughout a region of space larger than the entire solar system. We're tracking 17 hostile fleets moving through this sector, Jake reported during the daily threat assessment briefing. The Devourers are probing our outer defenses, but they're not ready for a full assault. The collective is more concerning, they're using new assimilation techniques we haven't seen before. Jake's analysis had prevented dozens of attacks on human colonies and allied alien settlements. His understanding of predatory alien psychology allowed him to anticipate threats before they fully materialized, giving humanity's defensive forces time to respond effectively. His intelligence network included agents and informants from dozens of species, creating an early warning system that protected peaceful civilizations throughout the galaxy. When the Purifiers began planning a campaign to exterminate a pacifist species in the Vega system, Jake's advance warning allowed human and allied forces to intervene before the attack could begin. Dr. Yuki Tanaka and Dr. Elena Vesquez had become the core research team investigating the deepest principles of reality in cooperation with ascended advisors. Their work took place in specialized facilities that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, allowing them to study phenomena that couldn't be observed from normal space. "We're making progress on the unified field equations," Dr. Vasquez reported during a briefing with Admiral Harrison. "If our calculations are correct, we should be able to manipulate time flow within localized regions of space. The consciousness integration experiments are showing remarkable results," Dr. Tanaka added. "We're learning to merge human intuition with ascended computational methods. The hybrid thinking processes can solve problems that neither species could handle alone." Their research was pushing the boundaries of what was considered possible. They had developed technologies that could accelerate the evolution of entire planets, create stable wormholes for instantaneous travel between distant star systems, and even establish communication links with alternate versions of reality. But, perhaps their most important work involved developing new forms of consciousness that could handle the responsibility of cosmic-level technology. They were creating hybrid human ascended minds that combined human creativity and adaptability with ascended wisdom and long-term perspective. Commander Robert Hayes had been appointed as humanity's first galactic ambassador, responsible for representing human interests in the complex web of interstellar politics. His diplomatic work took him to alien civilizations throughout the galaxy, negotiating treaties, resolving conflicts, and building the alliances that would ensure humanity's long-term survival. From his office aboard the diplomatic vessel UES Harmony, Hayes coordinated humanity's relationships with over 300 alien species. The work required not just traditional diplomatic skills, but a deep understanding of alien psychology and cultural patterns that often defied human comprehension. "The Spiral Federation is willing to grant us trading rights in the Centauri sector," Hayes reported during a policy meeting with the Prometheus leadership. "In exchange, we'll provide protection for their exploration fleets and share our terraforming technology for 3 border worlds." His diplomatic achievements had secured humanity's place as a major power in galactic civilization. Through careful negotiation and demonstration of human capabilities, he had built a network of allies that protected human interests while contributing to galactic stability. Hayes had also become humanity's primary representative to the Council of Ascended, the ancient beings who guided the development of younger species. His regular meetings with these transcendent intelligences helped shape humanity's long-term evolution toward cosmic maturity. As the former research team settled into their new roles, they began to understand that their rescue from the Zephyrian attack had been just the beginning of a much larger story. Humanity was no longer hiding from the galaxy, it was actively working to improve galactic civilization and protect the future of intelligent life. The Zephyrian Empire, meanwhile, had retreated to their core territories after word spread of their devastating defeat. Other predatory species had taken note of humanity's capabilities and were being much more cautious about approaching human space. The balance of power in the galaxy was shifting toward species that favored cooperation over conquest. But new challenges were emerging. Ancient artifacts were being discovered that suggested the existence of even more powerful alien civilizations. Rogue artificial intelligences were spreading through some sectors, converting entire species to mechanical existence. And there were signs that reality itself was becoming unstable in certain regions, possibly due to weapons used in ancient wars between godlike species. "We're not just protecting ourselves anymore," Admiral Harrison explained during a major strategy meeting. "We're helping to maintain the fundamental stability of existence in this galaxy. The decisions we make will affect the development of intelligence for millions of years to come." The research team had become part of something far greater than they had ever imagined possible. Their expertise in atmospheric science, xenobiology, engineering, medicine, intelligence analysis, physics, and diplomacy was contributing to humanity's emergence as a cosmic civilization. As they worked at their new posts across the galaxy, each of them remained connected through advanced communication networks that allowed instantaneous contact regardless of distance. They had become part of humanity's extended family, spread across the stars but united in purpose. Sarah-chan watched from the Terra Nova as the first human colonists landed on the newly terraformed world below. Children who had been born on distant planets took their first steps on soil that had been carefully prepared to support both human life and alien ecosystems. It was the beginning of a new chapter in the human story. Marcus Williams stood in a laboratory on Harmonia, working alongside crystalline beings whose songs guided the development of hybrid life forms that incorporated the best traits of multiple species. The music of their biological research echoed across the planet, announcing the birth of new forms of life that would thrive for eons. Tom Bradley supervised the activation of his interdimensional space station, watching as it phased between realities to become humanity's most secure base of operations. From this hidden fortress, human civilization could coordinate activities across multiple galaxies without fear of detection by hostile forces. Dr. Park treated patients from dozens of species in her orbital medical facility, using techniques that healed not just physical injuries but psychological trauma from encounters with cosmic-level threats. Her work was creating new understanding of consciousness and identity that apply to any form of intelligent life. Jake Morrison monitored the galaxy from his intelligence command center, watching for threats that could endanger the growing network of peaceful civilizations. His early warning systems had become crucial to maintaining stability across hundreds of star systems. Dr. Tanaka and Dr. Vasquez worked with ascended advisors to develop new technologies that could restore stability to regions of space damaged by ancient wars. Their research was literally healing the fabric of reality and making it possible for life to flourish in previously uninhabitable areas. Commander Hayes met with representatives of alien civilizations in diplomatic conferences that spanned multiple dimensions, negotiating agreements that would shape the future of galactic society. His work was creating the legal and cultural frameworks that would govern interaction between species for millennia. 6 months after their rescue from a simple research station, the team had become instrumental in humanity's transformation from a single-planet species to a galactic civilization. They were living proof that individual human beings, when given the opportunity and proper support, could rise to meet challenges on a cosmic scale. The galaxy was still dangerous, still full of threats that could destroy entire civilizations. But it was also full of opportunities for cooperation, growth, and the development of forms of intelligence that could transcend the limitations of any single species. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not as conquerors but as gardeners, helping to cultivate the conditions that would allow intelligent life to flourish throughout the cosmos. The research team's journey from studying distant planets to shaping galactic civilization was just one example of the amazing potential that lay dormant in every human being. As they worked at their posts across the galaxy, they knew that their story was just beginning. The real adventure, the transformation of humanity into a cosmic species capable of maintaining galactic stability for millions of years, was still unfolding. And they were proud to be part of that incredible journey among the stars. The attack on Research Station Omega-7 had seemed like a disaster at the time. But it had actually been the catalyst that brought humanity fully into galactic civilization and revealed the amazing destiny that awaited their species among the stars. From that moment of crisis had emerged opportunities beyond their wildest dreams, and the future of intelligent life in the galaxy had become a little brighter because of their courage and dedication to something greater than themselves.